Hello, hello. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Lisa. Good evening. Can everybody hear me so far? So good? Awesome. Perfect. I'm going to wait just a second for everybody to jump in. I am going to open up the chat room though. So if anybody has any questions throughout, I want to make sure I get them answered. So that will be up and going on the side of my screen. So feel free if you want to know more information or you have a question about something as I'm going through it, drop it in the chat and I will do my best to get it answered before we leave. So I'll try to answer it right away, but if not at the very end, I will go back and get to everybody's questions. Hello, hello. All right, I'm gonna wait another minute or two, but anyone that's in here, if you want, you can drop in the chat either where you are from or maybe your name, something just to say hello. You can drop an emoji. Let me know you're here, that you can hear me, that you're excited. Toxins are a very exciting subject, I know. All right. Lisa's here from Washington. I know Cindy's here. She's from my hometown. All right, I'm just gonna roll right in, I think. I am Sarah. Welcome, everyone. I know people will probably be joining throughout, and that's okay. This will be recorded, so I'll be saving it and uploading it to YouTube too, so you can go back and watch it or share it with your friends and your family. But yes, my name is Sarah Behrens. I am a certified personal trainer, a non-toxic living advocate, and a well-being coach. So I'm here tonight to talk to you about toxins, specifically environmental and food toxins. We're going to get into what they actually are, where you're going to find them most commonly, and how they can be negatively impacting your health. So we're going to talk a little bit about all those different things that maybe are throwing off your wellness journey or your weight loss journey, wherever you're at in your life right now. But it's also powerful information to help you make informed decisions for yourself and your family. So we are going to jump right in. These are kind of the main points that I want to touch on tonight. We're going to talk about what are toxins. I think that word is thrown around so often. I think it's hard to decipher what an actual toxin is and the different types of toxins because there are ones that are naturally occurring, like mold, and then there's ones that are synthetic or man-made. So we're going to touch mostly on those tonight. Then we're going to talk about how they could be possibly affecting you all sorts of different ways, everything from carcinogens, which we know are cancer causing, down to, maybe you have frequent migraines or you're struggling to lose weight. So we're going to touch on everything in between. Then we'll talk about where they're found. And then most importantly, we're going to talk about how you can avoid or reduce exposure and natural ways to support your body in the detoxification process. So we'll go through it pretty quick just to make sure I get all the information out and everybody's questions get answered before we roll out. So I know a couple people just joined. So hello, hello. Let us know where you're joining from in the chat. If you have any questions as we go, feel free to drop them and I will do my best to get them answered. All right, let's talk about what toxins are. Toxins are organic or inorganic substances. They're typically intended to make our lives easier. If you think about all the things that are now known carcinogens, like plastics and heavy metals, things like that, that we'll talk more about in a moment, those were all designed to make humanity uh, live with more ease. So, they were produced with good intentions, but now so many studies have been done and information has been coming out that we now know these things can negatively impact us. So they have the ability to alter our cells or manipulate the cellular activity. So in layman's terms, that just means they have the ability to get down to the very tiny structures that run your entire body. So we talk about genetics a lot, and we talk about, cellular health a lot with nutrition and different things like that. But this is one of the ways that they are most commonly impacted, whether that is, being destroyed or changed in some way. So it's super important to kind of know where these things are coming from so you can do your best to avoid them. We're going to talk about these main toxins tonight. Again, if you have any questions or you're curious about one that's not on this list, or maybe you've heard something in the news. I know it's kind of a hot topic right now. So please let me know if you want any information about anything else, but we're going to talk about phthalates. That's a hard one to say. There's a lot of consonants right in a row there. But essentially, that's most things that have artificial fragrance or artificial dyes in them. We're going to talk about sulfates, parabens, formaldehyde, oxybenzone, triclosan, heavy metals, food dyes, fluoride, BPAs, and PFOAs. Woo, that's a lot of big words, but we are going to get to all of them. So hang with me. All right, let's jump right in. How are toxins affecting me? So, like I said, they can build up in your body and affect you at a very cellular level, whether that is just changing the way that that cell actually performs, or like, for instance, carcinogenic things, why they would be cancer causing. They usually can manipulate the cell to overproduce or multiply faster. That's why cancer cells can run so rampant in your body. So let's talk about some of the things that you could possibly be seeing in your life, or maybe someone maybe it runs in your family. These can all be signs of toxic burden. So weight gain is a big one. A lot of people are struggling with excess weight, or weight that they're struggling to lose at no fault of their own. It can be very challenging when you feel like your diet is locked in and you've been exercising frequently and you're getting good sleep, and you still don't feel like you're able to lose that excess fat. So toxic burden can actually be a huge reason that you could be hanging on to extra weight. Uh, they they kind of manipulate your fat cells in your body. So essentially it keeps them hanging on to excess fat instead of allowing it to be burned off by the body. So we'll talk more about that in a minute, but it also can cause liver toxicity and glucose dysregulation. So essentially that just means blood sugar instability. And bogging your liver down. And if you know anything about the liver is kind of the the clean house. It takes care of everything. It gets rid of things that are built up that don't belong in your body. So if your liver is overburdened and it can't keep up with the load that's being delivered in, whether that's through food or things you're putting on your body or the things that are in your environment, your liver will slow down and not function as it should. Then another big one is immune function and even autoimmune disorders. We'll touch on those a little bit. Asthma and allergies, that's a really common one. Even lung disease and reoccurring illnesses, like if you feel like you get chronic sinus infections, chronic migraines, things like that, or chronic cough, those all could be quite toxin related. Cognitive function, memory, ADHD, mood imbalances, anxiety and depression, and neurological disease. That is a newer one that is kind of in the forefront of a lot of scientists and doctors' minds right now, because they are finding such heavy correlations between our neurological function and toxic burden. So that's a big one we're going to talk quite a bit about, especially um, as we know, the numbers of Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's are all on the rise, and ADHD and anxiety in children is a huge problem right now, especially in America. So we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that too. And then an obvious one, because they are typically endocrine disrupting chemicals, is what they're called, EDCs. But they can mess up your reproductive function and cause hormonal imbalance. And if you guys are, I know a few of my clients are in here, and we talk a lot about hormonal imbalance, and it's not just the sex hormones. Everybody knows testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. But other hormones include cortisol, which is your fight or flight hormone. So if you're having trouble sleeping, or maybe you're having a hard time waking up in the morning or retaining belly fat, that could be a sign that your cortisol is elevated frequently. Or your leptin and your ghrelin, those are your hunger and your satiety hormones. If those are out of balance, you could feel extremely hungry, or maybe like you don't have an appetite. So those are all common hormonal imbalances, not to mention thyroid is a really important one. And I know a lot of people struggle with hyper or hypothyroidism. So that's another really common hormonal imbalance too that a lot of people deal with. So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. And then obviously the big one, it's kind of always like the elephant in the room, cancer. Um, there's not necessarily one thing that causes it, and I'm not saying that toxic burden causes all of these things solely by itself either. It just doesn't help the body function optimally when you're overburdened with all of these things coming into your body from all different directions that it can't handle and it can't process quickly enough. And they're not going anywhere. It's just overbearing. It's overbearing for your body to deal with. So that's what the science is leading to see, is that the body can't keep up with our modern society. Humans haven't evolved as quickly as our society around us has, with the water we drink, the chemicals in it, the foods that we eat, the pesticides that are sprayed, the food packaging that we use, the scented candles we burn, the products we rub all over our skin all day. All those things weren't around even 100 and 150 years ago, and humans have barely changed, for thousands of years. So it's one of those things that it's coming at us a little bit faster than we have evolved to deal with. So, but we're going to figure it out together. All right, let's talk a little bit about where toxins are found, because this is the key point. You don't necessarily need to know all the toxins names, or what each one causes, because again, I don't want this to be a fear mongering episode. I don't want you to leave scared. I want you to leave empowered and informed. So let's talk about where the most common places toxins are found that you might be exposed to most frequently. Obviously, artificial dyes and fragrances, also known as phthalates. So phthalates, they are known as scent boosters or extenders. So they're kind of like these little bubble shaped, obviously they're microscopic, but they keep the scent in things. So think about anything that smells good, smells pleasant, that you would purchase. So candles, household cleaners, personal care like lotions, body wash, shampoo, hair products, anything, perfumes, and air fresheners. Those are probably the biggest culprits when you're thinking about phthalates. Anything that has a really strong artificial fragrance. Another one is like laundry detergent or dryer sheets. Those are big up there on the list too. Um, let's talk those. I want to talk about what each one does just a little bit, so you have some brief information. But phthalates are the number one toxin that causes hormonal imbalance. So when you're dealing with endocrine disruption, or, you know, thyroid problems, things like that, I always recommend to people to get rid of all of those fragrancy things in their home, because you might see an immediate difference. I mean, the body can clean house in a matter of hours or days. So sometimes removing these things from your environment can have an impact almost right away. So that is the pretty amazing thing about the body, is that it's designed to heal. You just got to help it. Another one, this one's a little bit more obvious, but they can also lead to respiratory illness. So if you or a family member struggles with, frequent sinus or mucus problems, maybe cough or asthma, things like that, those scented products are definitely going to inflame and make it worse. So it might be advantageous of you to get rid of those too. Let's talk about household cleaners, otherwise known as sulfates. So these are the things that help us cut the grease. Everybody uses those great tough grease cleaners in their kitchen, but sulfates are also found in hair products, especially shampoos. But they are an irritant. They're known as a top tier irritant because they can irritate eyes, skin, and lungs. So again, going back to anyone that's asthmatic, or if you have any skin issues, whether you have sensitive skin or psoriasis, eczema, anything like that, those sulfates can be very detrimental to your skin too. Some other places you might not know that they're in, maybe you do, but dish soaps, laundry detergent, and toothpaste is actually another sneaky one where you can find some sulfate. Let's talk personal care products. These are some of my favorite. Also known as parabens, if you've ever heard of the term parabens, but paraben is a chemical that prevents mold and bacteria overgrowth. So it's typically found in your personal care products like makeup, body washes, body lotions, anything that would be shelf stable for a long time that you would put on your skin. They usually contain parabens. Um, but these are actually one of the most dangerous ones because they are the hardest to remove for your body. So your body has the toughest time detoxifying from these, and they build up really, really quickly typically because they are such a small, strong molecule. Um, but they are also a big hormonal disruptor. So if you're dealing with, again, thyroid problems, weight gain, sleep problems, migraines, anything that could be tied to a fluctuation in hormones, it could be your personal care products. So a little shameless plug, I am a Beauty Counter affiliate. So if you've never tried any of their products, it's one of my favorite companies. There's many personal care clean companies out there now emerging because of all this information coming out. So that makes me really happy to see that there's more companies jumping on board. But they're kind of the company that started it all, and they definitely advocate for change in the beauty industry. So that's why I choose to support Beauty Counter. And if you ever want any more information on them, feel free to reach out to me and I can definitely help you out. Let's talk about food and food packaging. You know, this is my favorite topic is food, but we can find a lot of yucky things in our food packaging. One of the most frequent common ones that you've probably heard is BPA. BPA is a plastic that they discovered was malleable. So it's not super hard, you know, like a container or a Tupperware container is really rock solid. BPA is a little bit more flexible. So think water bottles, plastic food wrappers, even like you go to McDonald's and the wrapper that is around your burger is probably BPA filled, unfortunately. So plastics, you can definitely find them in liners and water bottles, but some places you might not recognize that they are lurking. Thermal papers like store receipts. So when you go take the receipt at the grocery store, that's literally BPA. So I always tell people that's one of the easiest things you can do because everything is online banking nowadays. So do you really even need the receipt? If you're like me, it floats around in the bottom of my purse or in my car for 3 weeks. So I don't even usually take the receipt unless, you know, it's a big ticket item and they're gonna stop me on the way out the store and think that I stole it. But yeah, so you've got those toys, children's toys, obviously anything plastic like that, and electronic cooking devices. Air fryers are actually a big one, and I know don't shoot the messenger if you love your air fryer, but the inside wall is actually made of BPA plastic. So you think about anytime you heat plastic, especially, it can really make those molecules leach into your food. So you just want to be careful. I'm not saying don't ever use an air fryer, but it might not be something that you want to cook with every single night for you and your family. So just beware of those types of things. And then another one that's also to do with food and food packaging is PFOAs. They prevent um, absorption. So think of like things that are kind of water repellent. So like pizza boxes or back to fast food wrappers, you're definitely going to find PFOAs in there. But you'll also find them in like water resistant clothing, carpets, furniture, anything that is stain resistant, you'll find some sort of PFOA to help resist that stain or absorption. But some other ones you might not know, nail polish, typically there are a few clean nail polish companies obviously out there, eye makeup, cleaning products, and dental floss. I was surprised by that one, but not really after I thought about what it did, I suppose. But this one's a big one because PFOAs are most commonly connected to autoimmune disease. So anything from MS to eczema. So think of all those different immune system damaging, causing diseases that are running rampant and all these things that are popping up more and more frequently, they could definitely be correlated to that impact that PFOA is having on our system. So those are big ones. And then the last couple, I know we already talked about furniture, clothing, carpets, other common household items like antibacterial soap is a big one because that contains the toxin triclosan. Uh, Really, that one I'm not a big fan of anyway because it can increase allergies and disrupt bacterial resistance. So if you feel like you're getting sick all the time, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes if you kill all the good bacteria that's trying to keep you safe in the process of trying to stay, hygienic and clean and stay well, it kind of does the opposite. So triclosan is one you definitely want to keep an eye out for. That's usually found in soap, hand soap, cosmetics, and some kitchenware, actually. And then the last couple ones I want to just touch on really quickly. Fluoride, obviously, uh, unfiltered water is a big one. So if you don't have a water filter or a filtration, like a reverse osmosis system at home, you might be consuming a little bit more fluoride. I know the government has locked down how much is used in the water now because of all of these things that have come out. So that's a good thing. We're moving in the right direction. But obviously, toothpaste and mouthwash is another place that fluoride could be hiding. Oxybenzone we touched on, that is actually a UV protection. And I know you guys have seen all the fuss about sunscreen lately and it being carcinogenic, and that is the ingredient that would be correlated with cancer, is the oxybenzone. Formaldehyde is just a germicide and a preservative. They use it less and less nowadays, but it used to be very, very common long ago. Um, Heavy metals, that's a big one that you can actually build up toxicity in your body and it really, really slows down your liver. But you can find it in some foods like rice, wheat, and corn. Another reason I don't love GMO crops, or big farm crops like that. But you can also run into heavy metal toxicity by using a ton of aluminum foil when you cook, or if you have, like me, when you were a kid, you had a ton of cavities. So now my mouth is lined with mercury fillings. So my goal someday is to get some of those safely removed, but those are little hidden ones too. And then obviously pesticides, herbicides, rodenticides. We won't talk about those too much. That's another conversation, but those can cause all sorts of hormone imbalance and liver toxicity as well. So let's talk about how we doing. Everybody's hanging in there. If anybody has any questions, drop them now. I'm prepared to answer. Okay, so let's talk about the flip side of this. So I kind of gave you the doom and gloom of everything. I gave you the toxins that are the most common, and it seems scary because I just gave you a whole myriad of places that you can find them, and it's pretty much everywhere. Like you feel like you can't escape, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I want to make sure you leave informed and empowered. So I want to talk about some ways that you can hopefully prevent exposure or limit it at least, and some ways to help your body detoxify naturally so it will get rid of those toxins that tend to build up. So let's talk about non-toxic swaps. That's probably my favorite place to start. And you can start really small. I always tell people, you don't have to get off this Zoom call and go to your pantry and your bathroom and throw everything out. That's totally not practical. You're going to waste money, and I don't want anyone to do that. But I do want you to be informed. So that means you can start looking at the bottles, you can start reading ingredient labels, and just knowing what's in your products. And then when you go to the store to refill or replenish those products, you can try something new or maybe do some research to find a better option. So some of the biggest places I feel like you could start with that are the simplest are household cleaners. There's so many companies out there, you guys, that make non-toxic home cleaners for all surfaces. I'm a big fan of Norwex rags. They don't use any chemicals. I also love making my own. I use vinegar, water, and essential oils of whatever scent you want, and you just put it in a spray bottle. So, check out Pinterest. I feel like in this age, it's amazing because we have the internet at our fingertips and we have the ability to find these things out in a flash. So I think it's incredible. if you wanted to start making your own DIY things for your house, you have access to that all the time. So non-toxic swaps like cleaners, I would say the easiest, fastest thing you can do is ditch anything that's scented, overly scented. Not necessarily all your personal care products, I get that, but candles, wax warmers, air fresheners, car fresheners, those types of things just aren't necessary. Get some nice essential oils. They're all natural. You can buy a diffuser for really, really cheap. You can roll them on your skin so you can replace your perfumes even. But there's some amazing scents and they all come from the earth. So who doesn't love that? And then obviously makeup and personal care is a big one. You know, your skin is our largest organ. It absorbs everything that it touches and that it is around. So I think it's really important to be mindful of what you're putting all over your skin. As women, it's thousands of products a day. If you think about from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, I mean, between body wash and lotion and makeup and hair care products and everything else that we're putting on our skin. I mean, if you just sat down and made a list, you would be astonished at how much you actually put on your body throughout the day. So that's a big one you can start to make adjustments in. Again, I'm a Beautycounter affiliate, love them very much, but there are so many other companies now. If you Google non-toxic personal care, you'll get tons of options. So anyway, those are my favorite non-toxic swaps, just cleaning products, personal care, and get rid of the scented stuff. And that's a great place to start. Limiting your exposure other ways. We talked a lot about plastics. Plastic is one thing I also believe that is bad for our planet and not only our body. So I would say if you can ditch the refillable water bottle or the single serve water bottles and get yourself a good reusable water container, I think that is a great place to start. Not only are you wasting less, you are absorbing less BPA that way, hopefully. So water bottles is an easy one. And then I like glass storage containers for my food. I know a lot of you in here are meal prep connoisseurs just like me. So I made the switch. I got rid of all my plastic, and glass Tupperware, you guys, is fairly inexpensive. I can go on Amazon and get a big box, of different sizes and shapes of Tupperware, and it lasts me the whole week once I meal prep on Sunday. And I don't have to worry about the plastics leaching into my food once they're sitting in my refrigerator, or if I choose to reheat them in the container. So those are two easy ones, water bottles and glass storage. And then if you have access to a water filter, you can buy either a pitcher, or maybe you just need to replace the one that's in your refrigerator, or even the top notch. Obviously, it's a little bit more of an investment, but a reverse osmosis water system underneath your sink, it does all that for you. It goes even deeper in removing all of the nasty things that can be found in our tap water, unfortunately. Um, anyway, obviously, the next one, do your research. I love this one because you can totally be your own advocate. You can be informed. You can want to know more because you deserve it. You deserve to know everything that's out there and to learn for yourself to empower your own life. That way, you're making the best decisions that you possibly can because you have the most information available to you. So I think it's super important. You can do your research. I'm going to give you some ways that you can get more information here in just a second. And then detoxifying daily. This is one of my favorite parts because the body is designed to heal itself. It is designed to remove these toxins and do its thing and function its very best. We just have to make sure that we are helping as much as we can. So the top 4 ways that you can help your body detox is through sweat or lymphatic drainage. So obviously exercise is a great one. I'm not a huge sweater, even if I work out really hard. I wish I was. So another option for me is a really hot shower, a hot bath, or a sauna. If you have access to an infrared or a heated sauna, that's a great way to break a sweat and remove as many toxins as you can from your body. And then lymphatic drainage. The lymph system actually is what circulates the toxins through your body and can expel them, by sweat or through your bladder, all those different things. So supporting your lymph system is super important. Some ways you can do that are walking, by pumping your arms and walking, dry brushing. It's just a natural brush and you brush your skin with it before you get in the shower, or like legs up the wall pose, where you literally just lay on your back and stick your legs up the wall. It just kind of helps drain your lymph system and keep it moving for you. So those are all easy things to do. And then obviously drink your water, filtered if you can, not from a plastic bottle. Eat to detoxify. So this is a big one. There's a lot of foods, obviously, that we already talked about that would add to the toxin load, like fast food or anything in a plastic wrapper, but also a lot of processed foods, canned foods. The can liner is often a place that BPA or PFOAs can be sneaking in there. And sugar and alcohol obviously bog down your liver. So if you can avoid some of those foods and then add in some amazing detoxifying foods like asparagus, artichokes, broccoli, cabbage, beets, kale, avocado, grapefruit, lemon, and green tea are the top tier. I said those really fast, so I hope you got a couple of them. We're running out of time, so I'm speeding up my speech. And then the last one, sleep. I know that sounds kind of silly, but brief sleep has so many benefits, not just for detoxifying, but obviously for the rest of the systems of your body. All right, almost there, everybody. So these are some of my favorite ways to get some more non-toxic living inspiration. So I wanted to share some places for you to start if you're intrigued and want some more information. So some of my favorite books are The Rain Barrel Effect, probably up there with my top 3 health and wellness recommendations ever. It's very easy to read, but it's very, very informative. And it's one that you can go back to over and over because there is just so much information in there. So the Rain Barrel Effect, non-toxic living is a great one, and Sicker, Fatter, Poorer is actually all about endocrine disrupting chemicals. So that one's a really good one if you're interested in more of the personal care and the cleaning products and that kind of stuff. And then podcasts, obviously, I did an interview on the Good Shit Show a couple months ago. The link is in my Facebook and my Instagram profile. So you can check that out and listen to that. We went way down the rabbit hole into all of the things that we just covered very briefly here tonight. And then I love Doctor's Pharmacy with Dr. Mark Hyman. It's one of my favorite podcasts, but if you search in wherever you listen to your podcast, How to Reduce Toxic Burden, that one will come up. And that was a great conversation. The doctor he had on there with him was very, very educational. She was great. So, and then obviously you can just search toxins on any platform. So you can go to Google, you can go to Pinterest and search non-toxic, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I'm sure a plethora will come up for you to pick and choose from. So, and then I just wanted to share a couple of my favorite Instagram accounts to follow. Toxin Free for Life. She's incredible. Holistic and Happiness. I just found her and she's amazing as well. Well Within Co. and Non-Toxic Mama Bear are all great accounts that give you amazing swaps, things to look out for, and keep you up to date on the latest science. So they are pretty awesome. And then this is our wrap up. These are a couple more places you can get some more information. The environmentalworkinggroup.org, or now they have an app. It's called the EWG Healthy Living app. So you can go in there and if you ever have a question about a product, you can type it in there and it'll tell you the safety of that product. So that one's pretty cool. The Yucca app is actually really neat. It's got a scanner on it, so you can scan your food or your personal care products as you're shopping at the grocery store, and it will tell you, it kind of has a red light, green light concept. So it'll tell you, exactly what's in it and what the levels of it are and how much, or if it's deemed safe for you to use. And then the Detox Me app is really cute. It's like a little challenge. It gives you can earn badges as you start to detoxify your life. So that one's kind of more like a game, but if you're like me, that will keep you inspired to keep going. So that one's a fun one. And then obviously you guys can check out my blog at sarahbehrens.com. I do my best to always share anything that I learned that I think could be powerfully impactful on your life and improve it in some way. So I do try to keep up on the latest science and all the information that's floating around out there, because I know it can be information overload and can be a lot to consume. So I try to digest it for you and break it down to make it a little bit simpler and easier for you to implement into your life. So that is all I have, you guys. This is it. I think everyone on here is one of my clients. Otherwise, I would do another little shameless plug about my Align Wellbeing coaching program. But while I have your ears here, you can check this out on my website. I am a wellbeing coach. So if you want more information about weight loss or hormonal imbalance, any of the above, or anything that we talked about tonight, I would love to support you in your journey of health, wealth, longevity, and self-love. So that is all I have for you guys. I don't think anybody dropped any questions. So if you have a question, please, please, please go ahead and drop it now. And if not, I will let you all get on with your night. All right, you guys. Well, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I will upload this to YouTube, so you'll have this to go back to or share with your friends and family if you want to share the goodness of health. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will see you later.